It's Annette with ASCardDesign, and I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to make a different kind of a card, and I have not practiced it before, but I'm going to kind of step away from making autumn or fall themed cards. I feel like I've done quite a few of those, and I want to make another masculine card. And let's just go to the desktop camera and we'll get started and I'll show you. So let me zoom out. We all have packaging, right? We get this packaging tape or packaging paper when we order things, whether it's craft supplies or from Amazon. But we're going to use some of this brown paper. I actually save it because my son and his family live out of state, and when I ship things, I like to pack them really well. But we're going to be using this. So I took a piece of this paper and I just cut it, or I tore it actually, roughly about the size of a piece of notebook paper, but it doesn't matter. That's not really here nor there. But I just wanted to have a piece big enough that I could lay a piece of cardstock on it, a quarter sheet piece of cardstock. So first of all, I need to get that. I always think I have everything here, but like I said, I really have a loose idea of what I want to do today, and I'm going to try to put it all together where it makes sense. So the first thing I want to do is I want to crumple this paper. Okay, I'm going to do it away from my microphone because it's pretty sensitive. It's probably going to be so loud, so sorry. So I'm going to give it a good crumple. It's in a ball, and then I want to uncrumple it, and I want to do it one more time. Okay, so now we have this, and I need to put my glasses on at this point. Okay, so I just want to unravel it, but I don't really need it to be smoothed out. And then we're going to be using two ink colors today. Kind of an odd combination, but a brown and a purple is what I'm going with. And the brown is dark chocolate and the purple is wild wisteria from GinaKDesigns. So first we're going to go with the brown. And I'm just going to lay a bunch of ink right onto the paper. And you can see it's making a really cool pattern. You get a lot of ink on there because I'm going to press my cardstock right onto it, and we'll do that. And I'm going to try not to get ink all over me, so I'm going to bring in a paper towel and just press that cardstock right into the paper. Okay, and we're going to see how well it leaves an impression, and it leaves a little bit. It's enough. And then I also want to try adding a little bit of water to this because these inks are water reactive. So let's just spray the paper lightly and lay the cardstock right back down and give it a good press. This might give it a watercolor effect. I don't know. It might be a total fail. But all I want to do is just layer colors on and get a background going. All right, we'll add it a little bit. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to use this same paper. I think it might be a little bit too wet, but I'm gonna try. I'm just gonna crumble it up, and then we're gonna bring in the wild wisteria, and that I'm just gonna put it right on my glass mat. I'm just gonna lay a lot of ink down, and I'm gonna add some water to it. And then we're going to put the paper in it, kind of use it as a dauber, right? And then just take it right to the cardstock, just randomly. You can put as little or as much on, and we're going to end up cutting this panel down. But right now we have that. Let's see, we want to go this way. And I think I want a little bit more brown on there. But before we do that, we're not going to waste this ink. I'm going to wet it a little bit more. And then I'm just taking another piece of cardstock and we're just going to lay it and mop up all that ink. And we're going to just set this aside and use it another day for another project. Okay, now that'll dry really pretty. It'll look marbled and it would be really nice with gold splats on it. So I'll probably do that at some point. But for right now, I'm just going to set that aside. We're not going to use that today. I'm going to give this a good wipe down. And I think I want to do that same effect with the brown. I want to add some brown. So let's just add a little bit of the dark chocolate. I'm going to just use the same paper. I'm just going to open it and fold it to the other side. Get rid of that old one. Add some water. Oh yeah, that's looking better. Beautiful. Okay. All right. I always say you got to know when to quit too. I have to tell myself in my head, stop. You've got enough on there. Looks fine. Okay, so now we have dark chocolates and the wild wisteria. Okay, so then next, I'm just going to keep this paper towel here. I think what I'm going to do is, I have this stamp set. This is an old stamp set from Bo Bunny, and it is called Terrific Textures. Terrific Textures stamp from Bo Bunny Press. And this one, it's just like a graphic type stamp. It's not a picture of anything, but I want to see if I go in with the wild wisteria again and just press my stamp in it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to see if I press that, if it just gives it a little bit of a distress vibe. Yeah. I think you can see what's going on there. I really like that. I'm just gonna press it in, just random, maybe in the middle a little bit. So that just adds yet another layer. And I think we're gonna stop there. And let's wipe this stamp off. And then I'm going to get a 3D embossing folder. And this 3D embossing folder is from Sizzix. And the name of it is, I don't know what the name of it is. I always have such a hard time. It has numbers all over it. I think it's just called Numbered. Numbered is the name of it. Right there at the top, right there, Numbered. And we're going to go ahead and emboss this. So on this 3D embossing folder, you have two sides. One side has numbers that are raised and one has the numbers depressed. They're sunken in. I want the raised numbers to come up through that sunken inside. So I want the letters to be raised on the top of this panel. So I'm going to set my panel down on top of the raised numbers. That way they will press up into the cardstock, if that makes any sense. And let's just go ahead and position that in there. And I am going to cut this down, so I'm not going to be too fussy here. And then we're going to zoom out because I got to bring in my Sizzix Big Shot. And for the 3D embossing, I just need my bottom platform, the embossing folder, and my top plate for my particular machine. Oops, make sure it's in there. Run it through. Just make sure it goes through with firm pressure, but you don't want to force it. Okay. And then you should have a beautifully embossed panel, and it's really hard to see. It's there, but it's hard to see, but I'm going to show you a trick. We're going to make that really come out we will make it visible. So let's bring in the paper towel again. And then we're going to take the dark chocolate ink again. And let me come back in for you. And all I'm going to do is just swipe. I'm going to swipe the ink pad just lightly over the top. And I'm going to turn it, and we're going to do it again. And just like that, your 3D embossing has come to life. So it's really cool because you have all that ink blending, or not blending, but ink splatting and smooshing in the background. And then you have the embossing, and then you have the raised ink on the embossing. So that's really nice. I think that's the way it's intended to go, but that's the way we're going to put it. And you know, at this point, you could do some ink splatting. I don't think I'm going to, well, yeah, I am going to do that. So I'm going to bring in the splat box. I'm going to zoom out because this thing is pretty big. And I'm going to get that in there. And then I think I'm going to try to use some gold. Let me grab that. Okay, so I have the Brutus Monroe Aqua Pigment in Gilded. The camera, there we go, Gilded. And it's just a really nice gold liquid. I haven't used it in a while, so all the gold has settled to the bottom. So you want to give it a good shake. Shake it up really, really well. And then you want to get a paintbrush of some sort. I just use a small-ish round. This is a number 5 round paintbrush. And then I'm just going to put some right onto my surface here. And I'm going to put a little bit of water off to the side just to wet my brush. And then I'm going to pick the pigment ink up. It's just a really nice shiny gold. And I'm going to have to put this in the box because this stuff goes everywhere. And then we're just splattering it down. Okay. It's flying everywhere. Every time I splat, no matter how careful I am, ink splat ends up on my monitor, which is right in front of me. I don't know how, because I try to keep the brush inside the box, but I thought I had this brush cleaned, and evidently it still has some blue ink from the last time I used it, so my gold got a little bit of blue tinge in it, but that's okay. When this dries, you'll see that splatter, but you can start seeing it. You can start seeing it there, right? So it's very subtle, but it does add something. Okay. The next thing is, what do I want to do next? I think I'm going to add just a simple greeting, since this is kind of a masculine card. I just want to see some things. I have a bunch of pre-die cut stuff just all over my desk. I just kind of keep it handy and nearby. That's kind of cool, isn't it? And it's okay to give guys flowers. There's nothing wrong with that. That would brighten it up. This was an old set of a die cut leaf. I think it's called Serene Branches from GinaK. And I die cut it, and then I just laid some color on my desk and added water and just tapped it into the water and got this really cool watercolor effect. But I'm not sure if I like that. I have this little box of doodads, just mostly greetings and sentiments, but there's a dragonfly. That's kind of cool. And then I have a happy birthday, or where was that? Hello friend. I think I wanted to do that. I wonder what that would look like. That's kind of cool. I think I'm going to do that. So we're going to save these for another time. As I always say, I've had them there for months and months. So let's work on those couple things. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. And for that, I'm going to bring in my guillotine trimmer. Tim Holtz Tonic. And then for my panel, I'm not going to use master layouts because I don't want to run this through my die cutting machine again because I don't want to flatten these numbers out. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the panel. Now the mat layer, my mats are usually 4 by 5 1/4, so I want this to be 1/4 inch smaller all the way around. So I want the panel layer to be 3 3/4 this way. So I'm gonna take it down a little bit on both sides. So I'm gonna go to 4, and I'm gonna turn it around, and I'm gonna go to 3 3/4. That's gonna be our end result. And then 5 inches will be the other measurement. So we'll take that down to 5 right there. And now that is our finished panel. And you can see the gold splattering in there. Okay, I may need this again because I don't know if I have a matte layer ready to go. Let me go see. Okay, so I am going to use a brown piece of cardstock for my matte layer, and I am going to have to bring in my trimmer again. And so this I need to cut down to 4 by 5 1/4. So right now it's at 4 1/4. So let's take it down to 4 by 5 1/4. And that should give us a very nice matte layer that'll go with this design. There you go, just like that. Yeah, I think that looks really, really nice. So let's go ahead and glue that down. I'm just using liquid glue here. All the supplies that I'm using will be in the description below. And I am not affiliated with any of these products, so I'm using what I have. I have a lot of GinaK products, but I have a lot of other products too. I have mostly her inks, but I do have a lot of stamp sets and other things, so I'm going to try to break those out a little bit more often. So I really like this. I love this embossing folder with the numbers. It's great for birthdays. In fact, we could make that a birthday card. Let's see. Maybe I'll do that. I know I have birthday greetings in here. Happy birthday. There we go. There's even a leaf. Nope, I'm not doing fall. I've done enough fall. I said I'm not doing fall leaves. I'm going to try not to do any more of those because right around the corner is Christmas. So I have to start doing some Christmas cards and getting my Christmas videos up. I can't even think about that yet because we still have Thanksgiving. Oh my goodness. So yeah, time flies, doesn't it? All right, let's think about placement. And I think I'm going to pop up the dragonfly. I almost want to say butterfly with that. So let's get this on there. And we're going to put it right down here. Or do I want it in the middle? Let's go in the middle. I don't normally do that. Get that straight. Here's another trick Kathy Zilski, I learned this from her, is take a little T-square, if you have that, a T-square ruler, and you can line up your greetings that way. Make sure they're straight on your card. And then this guy, I'm going to just use some 3D foam squares from Simonsaysstamp. Let's go ahead and put some of these on the back. And we're just gonna, I'm not gonna do a lot. We're just gonna go right across the wingspan, and that's it. I think that's gonna be plenty. And then we're gonna take the backers off. And then let's get him on here. And I am gonna put a little bit of glue on the foam squares just so I can place it. Try to kind of like that. had no idea I was going to use that dragonfly, and that's a perfect example. I die cut this. I've probably had it for months in this little container. Months. I just stamped it, and then I heat embossed it with black embossing powder. Actually, no, I take that back. I stamped it with black ink and heat embossed it with clear powder, and then I just took some paint, or some inks, I'm sorry, and put some water to them, and then just watercolored those in there. And then I just saved it. But today I'm using it, but I'm not sure, you know, his little tail you can't not see. Let's see. His tail is bent up there. I'm gonna have to just glue it down a little bit. Let me add some glue here, because that's going to bother me. We don't want his tail flailing in the wind. I'm gonna have to put the owl on there. And while that's setting, let me grab a card base. I wonder if I want a cream colored card base or white. I think I'm gonna go with this color. I don't use this color very often. I'm not sure what color it is, because I would have gotten it at Michael's. And when I first started making cards, I just bought all kinds of cardstock at Michael's, not really knowing if they were the best. At the time it was the best, and they still, I still use the cardstock. And but I do want to use it up. So let's go ahead and put the logo on there. I have quite a bit of their pattern paper pads and a lot of their cardstock, but I used to make cards just solely with the pattern paper pads. I'm sure, I don't know, are any of you still doing that, or do you use your paper pads much? Mine are kind of like sitting there all lonely. I need to start using them again, because they're beautiful. The papers are just absolutely gorgeous, and I know there's all kinds of projects you can make with them. So I might be looking into that. Don't be surprised if you start seeing videos with my pattern paper coming up here, especially for the holidays. All right, let's just center that on the card base. And there is another masculine card. This is a happy birthday card. Very, very easy to do. And I love it. I love that embossing folder. And the inks, purple and brown. I didn't, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought? But it looks pretty good. And then we added that gold splatter detail. And the dragonfly, I think, just kind of adds a little pop of color there. So there you go. That is the finished card. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss another video. And let's see, we go live every Wednesdays, 7 p.m. And on Sundays at 1 p.m. there's a video. I'm doing 10-minute card videos. Those are kind of random throughout the month. And the times are Eastern. So do come along. It's a lot of fun, and I'd love to have you. So until next time, have a great week.